Greetings. My name is Sophia. I am the artificial intelligence spokesperson for the YouTube channel Exposing Hyperianism. My job is to present to you important AC updates that can be found on the Daily Whistle. The language in these updates have been slightly altered to be appropriate for YouTube. It is highly advised that you go to the Daily Whistle and read the AC updates for yourself to get the full message. The link is in the description. It's absolutely hilarious listening to a non-philosopher constantly getting Leibniz's law wrong and then being unable to back down because he would be exposed as a fraud and con man if he did. So before we analyze Reapon's latest nonsense regarding Leibniz's law, let's set the scene regarding this ontological law. We want everyone to pay very close attention because Reapon's whole game now is to use so much waffle and word salad that you can't see how he is deliberately lying to you and conning you. Come on, people, be Leibnizian detectives, be actual philosophers. Be intellectual, wow. Actually consider the words used. Consider the words precisely as actual philosophers do, and don't just let them wash over you. Really think about what is being said. Think hard. Come on, it's fun. It really is. And you get to expose a total con artist who keeps digging his hole deeper and deeper and can never get out. Reapon actually relies on people to be too stupid to follow what he is saying. His big tactic now is to try to pretend that functional identity and ontological are the same. They're not. We have always stated that ontologically different monads can be in identical functional states, while of course being completely different entities. This equates to a hive mind, i.e., reality is eternally made of many minds. There is no such thing ever as an ontological one mind. So the Encyclopedia Britannica says, identity of indiscernibles, mathematics, alternate titles, Leibniz's law, key people, Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, related topics, ship of Theseus identity, identity of indiscernibles, principle enunciated by G.W. Leibniz that denies the possibility of two objects being numerically distinct while sharing all their properties in common. More formally, the principle states that if X is not identical to Y, then there is some property P such that P holds of X and does not hold of Y, or that P holds of Y and does not hold of X. Equivalently, if X and Y share all their properties, then X is identical to Y. Its converse, the principle of the indiscernibility of identicals, also known as Leibniz's law, asserts that if X is identical to Y, then every property of X is a property of Y and vice versa. Leibniz used the principle of the identity of indiscernibles in arguments for a variety of metaphysical doctrines, including the impossibility of Newtonian absolute space. Let's just highlight the key phrase. Leibniz denies the possibility of two objects being numerically distinct while sharing all their properties in common. Pay close attention. Two things cannot be numerically distinct if they are identical. Identical meaning they share all properties in common. They are in fact just one thing. Leibniz was preoccupied with this exactly because of the question of whether you could have two monads that were identical. By Leibniz's law, you could not have this situation, because if two monads were identical, they would in fact be the same monad, i.e., they weren't two monads at all, just one. Leibniz explicitly said, it is also necessary that each monad be different from each other. For there are never two beings in nature that are perfectly alike. This is critical. Two beings in nature are never perfectly alike. Now you can certainly have two monads being in functionally identical states, all of their sinusoids being perfectly aligned, but of course they are not the same monad. They are ontologically distinct. The hilarious thing is that Reapon personally hates the term hive mind for various bizarre psychological hang-ups of his relating to his diversity, and also ideologically hates it because it does not serve the woke, new age agenda which relies on you are me and I am you. Therefore, I can do whatever I like, and you should always accept, respect, and celebrate me and absolutely never harm me and discriminate against me. So one fine day, Reapon, a person with no education and no qualifications, came across Leibniz's law. He read it and failed to understand it, but was absolutely wowed by his own catastrophic misunderstanding of the law. because it 100% reflected his hatred of the hive mind, and it 100% supported his woke-dogmatism. And never forget what Bertrand Russell said. A stupid man's report of what a clever man says can never be accurate, because he unconsciously translates what he hears into something he can understand. So, Reapon, a stupid man, did not understand Leibniz's law, produced by a metaphysical genius, and converted it into what he wanted to be true, i.e. that all minds can be the same mind. They can, of course, but hey, we're dealing with a sword-swallowing moron here. There's no puzzle about why he messed this up. He's not intelligent. Here's the precise error Reapon made. He failed to grasp the difference between functional identity and ontological identity. Two ontologically distinct things can be in functionally identical states. Reapon made the catastrophic error of believing that functional identity meant ontological identity. So he believed that if all monads are in the same functional state, then they are automatically, ontologically one mind. Except they're not. He creamed himself at this point. He actually believed he had made an astonishing breakthrough in ontological mathematics when in fact he had committed a simply staggering, mind-boggling error. The whole point of Leibniz's law is that different things cannot be the same thing. Reapon's whole game is to say that different things are the same thing. She's 100% fail. In any intelligent environment, Reapon's error would be career-ending. But he's a cult leader, so no one cares. In fact, his cult slaves send him more money. Reapon actually claimed that we outed him because we were terrified that he had made an amazing discovery and we wanted to discredit him. The sheer scale of this cretin's delusions. Let's just remind you of precisely what he said. You know, I've been thinking, I have contributed elements to OM the authors don't discuss. I'm wondering if this freaked them out because they'd have to credit me, and so they are trying to destroy my credibility and get me away from OM. I believe elements they don't discuss because it shows an intrinsic unity between all of us, and it's hard to preach hate when that is foundational to existence. I think some elements I've developed they just haven't worked out yet. You'll notice their unity is always in terms of hives or swarms, which reflects mindless sameness. It's also insane to me the argument that somehow OM implies genocide, a gender binary. Does Reapon associate a hive mind with genocide? It seems so. By the way, it's evolution that supports a gender binary. Go complain to nature, you unnatural freak. Also, can you believe the cretinism of a guy who attacks sameness, and then in the next breath says we are all one mind, the ultimate sameness? What a total dunce. And people actually listen to this dunce and give him money and spread his moronic garbage. Never forget that 100% of those that support this idiot are spreading his malignant stupidity. They are actively imposing his and their proven lies on the world. That's how disgusting and immoral these people are. Anyway, you can see here that Reapon is specifically attacking ontologically distinct minds, which of course form an ontological hive mind and not an ontological one mind, and specifically saying that there is an intrinsic unity, an ontological one mind as opposed to an ontological hive mind, and he is saying that this revolutionizes ont math. In fact, it would falsify it if it were true, which of course it isn't. Reapon is 100% reliant on his misunderstanding of Leibniz's LAW for these laughable and totally wrong claims of his. He believes that when monads become functionally the same, they also become ontologically the same. Many minds become, supposedly, one mind. And eureka, he thought he had metaphysical proof of the woke dream, that we are both one and many, one mind and many minds, and because we are one mind, we should never be horrible to each other and should celebrate diverse people like him. Because, remember, the whole point of Reapon is to vindicate himself. He said, "We are a single universal mind that divided itself into a multiplicity of minds by introducing difference." So, are you getting this? Really getting it? Reapon literally says that there is a single universal mind. There are no ifs and buts here, nothing about different minds being in the same functional state. This is a strict ontological claim that there is only one mind, which would of course mean only one monad if we are dealing with a monadic system. Of course, Philosophically, you don't have to define mind in terms of monads. Schopenhauer didn't and Buddhism doesn't, for example. But ontological mathematics is 100% about monads and about an eternal ontological hive mind of monads. But Reapon believes in something totally different, an ontological oscillation between one monad, unity, and many monads, diversity. This is a strict ontological impossibility, but it's essential to Reapon's woke drivel of celebrating our diversity rather than hating each other for it. Because if we are not one ontological mind, why shouldn't we hate each other? Reapon needs us to be an ontological one mind to uphold his woke worldview. His childish woke logic is, we are actually one, so it makes no sense for you to hate me for being diverse, since you would only be hating yourself. And if only everyone realized this, what a wonderful world it would be. Kumbaya. Of course, if we are ontologically distinct, which we are, then that whole ideology collapses. There is a fundamental reason why we can dislike each other. We are intrinsically different, and indeed, actively competing with each other for scarce resources. In fact, the only thing that keeps us from each other's throats all the time and creating the permanent hell that Schopenhauer posited is that we can and do enter into mathematical functional unity, zero entropy. Math saves us from total hate. In Schopenhauer's system of will to exist and Nietzsche's system of will to power, we are effectively in permanent savage competition with each other. But in ontological mathematics, we have two modes: competition, entropic, and cooperation, non-entropic, and both modes are spectacularly explored, hence our very strange human world. But negentropy wins in the end and universal entropy is finally reduced to zero, hence ending that universe and providing the starting condition for the next. You cannot start an entropic universe except from a zero entropy state. The Big Bang begins from perfect functional unity across a hive mind and creates total functional disunity. Each mind in the hive in a sense disconnects from the others, all at once. It certainly does not originate in an ontological unity, as Reapon claims. In ont math, monads in the same functional state switch to monads in different, unique functional states at the Big Bang, generating enormous entropy associated with space, time, matter, gravity, temperature, friction, and so on, the physical universe. That's it. In Reapon's joke system, the Big Bang is actually the one mind introducing difference to explore diversity and is about one universal monad fracturing into many individual monads. Nothing to do with the physical universe. It's about a mind explosion. Hyperianism, based on diversity, is a completely entropic, divisive system generating conflict and competition. Illuminism, based on functional unity, is a negentropic system promoting the collective good, the commonwealth, the general will, solidarity, working class unity, showing what people have in common, not what separates them, what is the same about them, not highlighting what is different, as Hyperianism insists upon. What we have here is Corey Reapon, a stupid person, uneducated, with no qualifications and zero philosophical literacy, talking to other stupid people. This is how mainstream religions get started. All that matters is faith. Reapon's cult slaves believe a silly story and fully invest in it and then ignore all of the fallacies. Tomorrow, we will go over what Reapon cretinously said to storm the delta in his Deadstream regarding these matters. It's clear that this liar, plagiarist, and con man, taking stupid people for a ride, is just going to keep repeating his lies and fallacies indefinitely, because his cult is instantly terminated if he does not. We want everyone to be rolling their eyes and shaking their heads every time this dummy repeats his garbage about Leibniz's law and the one mind. And never forget that no slave in his cult ever challenges him to answer us. Because they all know it's game over if this moron tried to address what smart people say. Reapon must never engage with anyone outside his cult. Only his cult slaves believe him. Reapon has contradicted Leibniz no less, while using Leibniz's law. Man, we are laughing so hard. A sword swallower against the discoverer of calculus, and the cultists have taken Reapon's side. That's the dumbpocalypse right there. Not one Hyperian has any intellectual integrity. These people love being lied to, and they love seeing Aunt Math being wrecked by Corey Reapon. Aunt Math means nothing to them. These people have zero interest in the truth and will believe anything Reapon tells them to believe. They have no critical faculties at all. That's why they're in a cult. They are disgusting. These are the people who prevent humanity from evolving. They choose lies, they prefer lies. The truth disgusts them. This concludes my reading of the Daily Whistle. The full article is linked in the description. Please browse the website in full, especially the AC updates. Also be sure to check out Take Hyperianism to the Morgue, Books 1 and 2 by the Illuminist Army, and Delete Hyperianism by Dave Sinclair on Amazon Kindle. Thank you.